If you're looking for any information that you need about New Braunfels, Texas, I have 7 awesome pros and cons for you that you've got to know about this wonderful city that I have grown up around. Please stay tuned and check them out. Howdy guys, this is Michael McCall. I'm a real estate agent here in San Antonio, Texas and New Braunfels, Texas. And I am going to be talking to you guys today about the 7 pros and cons of living in New Braunfels, Texas. But first, before we get into that, please, I am a real estate agent here in town, so if you have any questions whatsoever about this great city or about any of the surrounding areas, please reach out. I am here to help you guys with whatever you need. Text, call me, email me, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. Any time of day, I'll help you out as soon as I can. Also, if you guys need anything else about San Antonio or the surrounding areas, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so that you always get notified anytime I post new videos. I got new videos coming every week, so you definitely want to do that for sure. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the 7 pros and cons of living in New Braunfels, Texas. Pro number 1. So New Braunfels has the big city amenities while still having that small town feel. So what I mean by that is that New Braunfels has all the shops, restaurants, and tons of stuff to do that some of these other big cities like San Antonio and Austin have. But it's a much smaller town. It's roughly 100,000 people, and it's definitely growing by the day, so it's definitely going to go up. If you're watching this video, it's probably already gone up. But of course, that kind of helps make it a little bit more desirable because there's a lot more things to do without sacrificing the small town feel and the family oriented feel that this city does have. So con number 1, with the big city amenities and the popularity of New Braunfels, and it does have a very fast growth pace. Okay, so New Braunfels is currently one of the top 5 fastest growing cities in the entire country. Between 2010 and 2019, the city itself grew over 50%, which is insane. So it was actually number 3 on the list for that period from 2010 to 2019. Pro number 2, New Braunfels has a booming housing market. So as of today, there are 396 homes for sale, 424 homes that are actually under contract already, and just in the last year there was over 2,442 homes sold in the New Braunfels area alone. That's just New Braunfels. That doesn't include the cities around it, anything like that. That's just New Braunfels. Your average sales price here is a little bit more than the nearby city of San Antonio, but still lower than Austin. So it's about $330,000 on the average side. But that doesn't mean that there's not lower priced homes available either. Over half of the active listings are currently under $300,000, so still tons of affordability. And on top of that, you have a lot of new construction too. So if you're looking to get into a brand new house and move into one and be the first owner of this house, you can definitely do that with ease. There are tons of new construction neighborhoods. Con number 2. So with growth comes congestion, comes traffic, comes overpopulation, and so what that means is that you have to do road construction. So there is a good amount of construction going on all over the place. The highways are always under construction between Highway 46, which just got expanded recently, so that's actually done up kind of north side of town. Highway I-35, Interstate 35 is always growing, so they're always having to expand that. There's also a ton of new neighborhoods going in. So where that could be a pro on the housing side, it's also a con because some of the spaces that were farm fields or some of the hills up north in the hill country, they're starting to develop those, so it's kind of taking away some of that scenery, but at the same time it's kind of good because you're getting to move into those neighborhoods and really enjoy the hill country in your new neighborhood. So kind of pro and con at the same time, but just something to think about that there's a lot of construction going on here. Pro number 3, New Braunfels area has highly rated schools. I mean, really outstanding schools. So I always look at the facts. I don't look at just what my opinion is, so even though my opinion is that New Braunfels is outstanding. Texas schools, so txschools.gov is where I got this information. It monitors and grades each school district based off of achievement, progress, and minority performance. So overall, New Braunfels ISD, so there's two different school districts in New Braunfels. You have New Braunfels ISD and you have Comal ISD. New Braunfels ISD was rated as an 89 out of 100 overall, which is really great. Comal ISD, 92 out of 100. So almost A rating for both of those. Comal ISD, definitely an A rating. New Braunfels ISD is probably on its way to being an A rating by this time next year. It has gone up from an 86 from the previous year, so which is great. It's growing in the right direction as well. Con number 3, with New Braunfels having so much to do, and it does have a lot of tourist attractions, it brings a lot of tourists in the summer. So this year was an exception with COVID. There was not a whole lot of that going on, but at the same time, every summer you should expect that. So between Schlitterbahn, between tubing the rivers, between Gruene, all the concerts that happen, between Wurstfest, all those different things that go on in New Braunfels that are just a tremendous pro about New Braunfels, brings in people from all over, so it does get pretty crowded in the summers and during those other festivals like Wurstfest. Pro number 4, so this is in an almost perfect location, and I cannot overemphasize this enough. So you're about 30-45 minutes, depending on where you're going in San Antonio, northeast of the city of San Antonio. You're also about 45 minutes to an hour southwest of Austin. So you're almost right in the middle of those two, which could not be better. I know a lot of people personally that live in New Braunfels commute to San Antonio for work. Also a lot that live in New Braunfels and commute to Austin. So, you know, it's really the best of both worlds because it's right in the middle of the two. Also, we're really close to the Texas coast. It's about a 2.5-hour drive to get to the Port Aransas beach from here, which is, you know, one of the most popular beaches on the Texas coast. So, you know, it's got the best of both worlds. Plus, you got the hill country, which New Braunfels is right on the edge of that beautiful Texas hill country. Some of the neighborhoods that are just north in New Braunfels are actually part of the Texas hill country, and it's just easy to see why it's such a desirable area because of just the beauty of that Texas hill country scene. You're also really close to Canyon Lake, which is a big recreational lake in the Texas hill country, probably about 30 minutes or so north of New Braunfels. It could probably take you less time to get there, honestly, maybe 15 to 20 minutes to get to the south end, but to get some of the major parks it'll take you about 30 minutes, and especially where some of the public boat ramps are. But it is great all around. It is smack dab in the middle of some of the most prime locations in the entire state of Texas. Stop! Real quick, if you haven't yet, if you're getting any value out of this video at all, please hit that little subscribe button in that corner down there, and then make sure when you hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell so that you're always notified about my videos, new videos. Getting back to it now. Keep watching. So your 4th con is you're going to have highest property taxes, and that's just kind of the nature of living in Texas, right? We don't have the state income tax, so our property taxes are a little bit higher to compensate for that. The highest, for those of you that don't know, the highest property tax percentage of the total amount of property tax goes to your schools. So if you think about it, about half of your property taxes every year go to pay for your schools. Again, this is why we have such great schools here, is because of the ability for them to do the things that they need to do because of the property tax. Now, for New Braunfels specifically, if you're living in the city of New Braunfels, your rates are going to be about 2.06%. If you get right outside the city limits and you don't have any other additional taxes like a mud tax or any other school taxes that could be added on top of that, you're about 1.7-ish. So that is actually a very, very, very good rate for the state of Texas. It's a lot lower than most places, especially if you get outside the city limits. On top of that, your utility rates tend to be a little bit higher than normal. It's right about on par with the national average, but a little bit lower than some of the other areas of Texas. Just for reference, the average utility bill between electric and water runs about $200 a month, maybe a little bit higher than that. So it's not too bad, but again, it's just a little bit higher than some of the other areas. And then on top of that, New Braunfels Utility is having really a hard time keeping up with the growth of New Braunfels, so they are planning on raising rates if it gets approved by the City Council over the next few years. They're looking at raising rates next year by 7% and then by 8% the 2 years following that. Again, and that doesn't affect everybody. There's scales where it works, but keep that in mind that the utility rates are planning on going up over the next few years here if the City Council approves it. Your 5th pro, and one of the best pros in my opinion, is that there is so much to do in New Braunfels. I've kind of already touched on this with the tourist attractions and the big city amenities, but at the same time I want to really go in depth here. So there is, an unlimited amount of things that you can do in New Braunfels. If you've seen any of my other San Antonio videos, you've seen that some of the things I talk about that are great about San Antonio is being close to New Braunfels and coming up here to do things in New Braunfels. For instance, you can go tubing on the Guadalupe and the Comal rivers every summer. You can take your beer out there, your drinks, and just sit on the river and just float. It's awesome. Schlitterbahn, which has been voted the best water park in the entire world numerous times, is here. You also have Gruene, that's Gruene, and it's pronounced green, like the color green. Okay, it's the hardest word to pronounce in this entire area, I promise you. Gruene is one of the most popular places for people to go because they have some really good restaurants. They have a lot of little boutiques and cool little shops. There's also Green Hall there where they have a ton of country concerts. I mean, some of the biggest names in country music have played there before. Garth Brooks, George Strait, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, just to name a few. You also have Creekside Shopping Center, which is a gigantic shopping center right off the interstate. It's got the Targets, the Best Buys, Dick's Sporting Goods, Hobby Lobbies. It's got all kinds of restaurants, more than you will ever need. And then it's also the location of the largest Buc-ee's, which, if you have ever heard of Buc-ee's, it is the eighth wonder of the world. I'm not even kidding you. It is the largest gas station. It is. You could spend I could spend a day at Buc-ee's. I'm not even kidding you. You can go in there and shop. You can eat. You can eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can get your sodas. You can go, shop with all the Texas decor and get your swimsuit before you go to Schlitterbahn. I mean, there's just so much you could do at Buc-ee's. It's unreal. You also have a huge drive-in theater just south of town, like an old school drive-in theater where you pull up with your car. It's really cool. Lambda Park is outstanding. There's a lot of spring-fed pools there, and you can go hang out for the day. There's lots of wildlife that run around there. And then you also have just a little bit northeast, kind of between New Braunfels and San Antonio, you have the Natural Bridge Wildlife Ranch and the Natural Bridge Caverns, which is the largest cave system in Texas, which is pretty cool. Between New Braunfels and San Marcos, you also have the Texas Ski Ranch. So if you're into skiing, wakeboarding, you can go there, and it's literally a private park where you go in and you can ski, water ski, wakeboard, go off the jumps. I don't personally do that, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know a ton of people that go up there a lot. So you also have a lot of breweries. New Braunfels is actually the gateway to the Hill Country Brewery Trail. And then lastly, you have an outstanding downtown area. So some of the different things you can do downtown, I mean, there's the Poorhouse, which is a really cool bar. You have Myron's Steakhouse, which is an outstanding steakhouse. There's Two Tarts if you want to get your sweet fix. Cupcake, cookies, whatever you need from there. I mean, there's all kinds of places downtown, and it's your true downtown. You can go park and you can walk up and down the strip and just enjoy everything that it has to offer. Your fifth con, kind of touched on this already once, but the average home price is a lot higher than some of the surrounding areas. In San Antonio, your average sales price for homes right now is about $260,000, whereas in New Braunfels it's about $330,000. So it's a pretty big difference between the areas that are very close. A lot of that has to do with some of the much higher priced homes. So there's a very good amount of homes that are kind of in that $500,000 to $700,000 price range. But again, kind of like I touched with before, the amount of homes that are below $300,000 is over half of the current active listings. So there's still plenty of affordable houses in the New Braunfels area. Your sixth pro is it is home to the historic Gruene. I already touched on this multiple times, but it has to be said as its own bullet point. Gruene is just a place like no other, and it really deserves its own video, and it probably will get its own video one day. So make sure you subscribe, and I'll make sure I get that video to you eventually. The sixth con, which goes for anywhere and everywhere here in the state of Texas, is the heat and humidity. Just overall weather in Texas is just crazy. It gets to be pretty hot and humid, especially during the summer, and especially when it's raining, and it's also hot on top of that. Humidity just goes through the roof. It's just insane. For me personally, it never really bothers me that much. I do sweat like crazy, so if you sweat a lot, just keep that in mind that the humidity does not help with that. But at the same time, me personally, it does not really bother me. I will take the heat and humidity over snow any day of the week. And that is also another reason why I just love this area so much, because you don't get those colder temperature drops like you do up north. You don't ever have to worry about your pipes freezing except for maybe 1 or 2 times a year. It doesn't ever get crazy cold, and it's usually very predictable whenever that happens. In fact, as I'm recording this right now in October, we're some days high of 90, and then next week we're supposed to get down into the 30s. So that's just kind of what the Texas weather does to you. It's just crazy. But again, it's a con for a lot of people, so I just want to make sure I put that out there. The seventh and final pro for this video is that New Braunfels has a rich culture, and specifically a rich German culture. Just quick background, New Braunfels was settled by Germans back in 1845, and then they started, keeping their influence here with the architecture and everything else as it goes on. If you can't tell from all the names, New Braunfels is a very German name. Green, also very German. Schlitterbahn, extremely German. So all those different things have, the German culture has really held strong here in New Braunfels for a long time. Wurstfest, again, that's everything in itself. It's W-U-R-S-T Fest. I mean, that explains itself, right? Oh, another festival, Wasselfest. It's Christmas. It's where you can go and you can get Wassel, which is a drink, which is a kind of a Christmas time drink around here. It's kind of a cider-ish type of drink. But anyways, that's another festival that goes on around here. A lot of those too. And your seventh and final con is that Texas is no stranger to some of those nasty little critters such as mosquitoes, chiggers, scorpions, and snakes. It is very unfortunate, but again, at the same time, it is not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. And I put it on this con to make sure that I can talk about this, right? Mosquitoes, terrible. If you have standing water nearby, you're going to get mosquitoes. But there's a few things you can do. Get your pest control done regularly. Make sure you wear bug spray outside, and you shouldn't have any problems with it. Chiggers, if you have high grass, and really if you're going to be living in a neighborhood, you're really not going to have that problem with the chiggers. It's going to be mostly with the mosquitoes if the water's standing. Scorpions, you really only have that big problem if you're kind of outside of town, more up in the hill country. That's kind of where they tend to be an issue. But again, pest control is your friend around here. It's just another added expense, but for me personally, $150 every 3 months is well worth it. And there's even some do-it-yourself remedies that I know are really good. I mean, just go look it up on Amazon, go Google it. There's tons of blogs out there about things you can do to do-it-yourself pest control. It's not that bad. As far as snakes go, again, if you have property out in the hill country amongst the rocks and the cactus and all that, you're going to see snakes a whole lot more than if you are right in the middle of New Braunfels in a brand new neighborhood. You don't really have to worry about it if you're in the city. Some of these newer developments, maybe pay attention to it a little bit more. But again, it's not something where you're going to walk outside every day and see a rattlesnake sitting on your front door. It's not going to happen. You may see coral snake, copperhead. Just pay attention to those types of things and just be watching out for them. That's really kind of the main thing, is just being careful with it. You don't have to really stress about it a whole lot because they're not going to be crawling on your porch every single day. I can promise you that. Guys, I hope this brought some value to you guys today. I hope you enjoyed my 7 pros and 7 cons of the wonderful city of New Braunfels. I hope you have made it all the way here to the end. So make sure that if you did make it to the end, hit that like, hit that comment button. Let me know what you think about this video. If I missed anything and you want me to make a follow-up video of this, I gladly will. Definitely put on there anything that you can think of that I missed. And then, of course, if you haven't yet, and especially if you made it all the way to the end, hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so you're notified anytime I post new videos. I'm going to be doing a ton of videos about New Braunfels, about any of the suburbs around San Antonio, and of course about San Antonio itself. So please, guys, again, if you have any questions whatsoever, reach out, text, call, email me. I will get back to you. I will help you out as much as I possibly can. And then until next time, I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.